Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. Thought I would sit down and do another video for you guys and gals. Let me get a sip of my water first. A beautiful radio voice going on. Let's talk about this. I decided to do this video because I saw someone in the comments who was asking for advice. They're like, you know, whatever, I'm 6 foot, whatever, 170, whatever pounds. I'm trying to gain stronger, but I'm scared to bulk further. My body fat came back at 24%. And I asked them, did you get a DEXA scan? And they're like, no. I use one of those handheld devices. I know they're not that accurate. Okay, we need to be clear. If you are trying to determine anything that you do based on your body fat, get a DEXA scan. If you can't afford regular DEXA scans, or about $100 a scan, don't bother trying to figure out what your body fat percentage is for purposes of anything you do with a calculation or whether you need to gain or lose weight. Stop doing that. That's the only method. And here's the problem with these impedance scales, whether it's ones you stand on, whether the ones you hold, they have no ability to measure your body fat. So when people say, well, at least it gets me in the ballpark, you know what would work just as well? Grab a bunch of Dungeons and Dragons dice and roll them on the floor and use that to determine your body fat percentage. That is equally scientific and will give you just as accurate of a reading. Okay? What might I recommend? Grab a pair of 20-sided dice, roll the two together, and whatever the number comes up with, use that as your body fat percentage. It is just as accurate and just as scientific as the bioimpedance scale, except that it doesn't have cool words like bioimpedance and measurement in it. You understand these are sales buzzwords to sell these silly devices. When I say they do not have the ability to measure your body fat, I literally mean they have no ability to measure your body fat. You might as well just get a random number. It's not a case of, well, it could be off by 2 or 3%. Well, that's pretty enormous, but it can be off by more than that. In other words, if you were 20% body fat, exactly, like literally, that bioimpedance scale, depending upon what day, what you had to drink that morning, everything else, could spit out 10%, it could spit out 30%. Do you understand that that is literally the difference between being ready to do a photo shoot versus being morbidly obese with a belly all the way past your titties? Do people know that is literally the level of accuracy you have? That device, if you are at 20%, could literally read you as lean enough to do a picture, get up and do a photo shoot, right? You'll have a six-pack versus a big belly. It literally cannot tell them apart. It cannot tell them apart because it has no ability to measure body fat at all. It is not based on science. It is spitting out a random number based upon whatever calculations it's running through your body. But body fat is not something it can actually measure. They've come up with maybe some ideas that people are doing. Well, maybe we think if we get right around these, it may be related in some people, but it's not based on anything. Okay? They have no ability to measure it. So here's the problem. If you're using those scales, what do you think is going to be the issue? It's giving you false information. You are better off not even trying to measure it than to try to use one. You're probably better off just using the mirror. I'll be honest with you. You are dramatically better off just using the mirror or using a tape measure, measuring your waist versus like your height or whatever. That is just as accurate, way more accurate. Both of those are way more accurate than those scales. So if you get that scale measurement and you even just check it, say, I'm just curious to see where it is, you could literally imprint in your brain a false idea and then think that you need to change what you do based upon a random number. It would literally be the same thing as if you took a pair of 20-sided dice, rolled them across the table, and added up the numbers. Okay, I got so the average is going to be 20 with the two extremes being 2 and 40%, right? It's going to be your bell curve. So your average would be 21, right in the middle. Center of the bell curve, and then your distribution is going to go like this outside of that. 2%, 40%, 21%. Just roll the two dice. It will probably be just as accurate. Now you've got a random number that you just picked. But people say, but I'm less likely to believe it. Exactly, and that's good. Because if you're going to get random numbers and you're going to be influenced by random numbers, you should probably make sure that you're not prone to believe it. People say, well, what's the point? Why would I bother to do that? Because you wanted a random number. You wanted a random number not based on science. That's the only reason to use the bioimpedance scale. So if you just want a random number between 2 and 40%, that's an easy way to get one. It's a lot cheaper than the scale, and then it won't influence you to do stupid stuff. Now, you'll also get people who say, but are DEXA scans accurate? They're very accurate on the body fat. People say, but haven't people shown that you can game DEXA scans? They have, but not on the body fat. They game DEXA scans on the lean mass. But here's the thing. I would ask someone, are you getting a DEXA scan because you want numbers and results to help you, or are you literally trying to game it? If you're trying to game it, you're throwing away $100 every time. That's just stupid. So even though people have shown you can game the lean mass by water weight, because again, we can spit out more lean tissue, which it will often presume is muscle. Yeah, you can overhydrate or you can dehydrate. And that may affect body fat percentage, because if you're 10 pounds lighter because you dropped 10 pounds of water, okay, your body fat percentage might go up 0.6% when it measures the fat. But the DEXA will measure the fat accurately. So that's different, because the fat mass does not read the same as lean. Water will read as lean mass. The DEXA scan will still give you an accurate representation of how much fat you have on you. Its lean mass calculations will be based on how hydrated you are at the time of it. But at least you will know that. If you know that you dropped 5 pounds of water weight from your normal weight before you stepped on it, or you overhydrated and you're 6 pounds heavier than you are most days, you can plug that in. You can already assume that gain or loss is going to be the lean tissue on the reading. So you still have accurate numbers to go off of, because you know what you weigh, right? We all weigh ourselves every morning. Those of us who care about our fitness and our body weight should generally be weighing ourselves every morning anyway at the same time. That's just a normal part of fitness. We all do it. If you don't, I don't know what you're doing. It's just a data point. Don't be emotionally attached to it. So yeah, can be the issue with DEXA, but that is easily resolvable and easily detectable and controllable on your part. And if you don't want to game it, just walk in normal like you would any other thing that time of day, and then watch your results from DEXA to DEXA as you get them done, like whatever, 2 of them a year or whatever you do. But if you don't care about your body fat percentage, you don't want to know how much visceral fat you have, then don't bother with a DEXA scan. Just go off the mirror. Not like we calculate anything off lean body mass anyways. All the studies on protein intake, you'll get people who say, well, this protein intake, I recommend based upon your lean body mass. Really, do you have any studies for lean body mass? No. All of the research was on body weight, even in advanced lifters, bodybuilders. So quit saying that crap. And so I'm going to tell someone, if they go, well, I'm evidence-based, but then you tell people to use calculated lean body mass for protein instead of body weight, then you're not basing it upon the research. You're not evidence-based. You're making up stuff. Well, we do that so that fat people don't eat more protein. Really, fat people need to eat more protein. It'll help them lose weight quicker. If someone's 100 pounds overweight, do you really think them accidentally overfeeding protein instead of overfeeding more fat and carbohydrate? Particularly the fat, not so much the carb. Do you really think that this is somehow detrimental? If I'm evidence-based, I'm going to say, well, the research says they're probably going to lose fat faster. So what in the hell are you trying to do? You're trying to sound smarter than you are, but you're making up nonsense and making up complexity. When if you actually just use what the research showed and just use body weight, even the outliner that you're worried about it being unuseful in that regard because they eat too much protein are the people who would benefit from too much protein. It's self-correcting. Man, people don't want to hear that, but it's true. It's the truth. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative. and I will talk to you guys and gals next time.